Hi everybody, my name is Jo with Jo Wise Leadership. Good morning, fabulous to have you all here. Today I'm going to have a bit of a chat about playing a bigger game in a way where you're still staying true to you. I have this conversation a bit, but one of the things that quite often comes up, particularly when I'm speaking, is I speak at a lot of women in leadership and leadership conferences. And one of the things that comes up is, I really want to play a bigger game, but I see other people playing a bigger game in sort of a big out there, highly visible, highly extroverted way, and that's not my way. So I wanted to have this chat because it's come up in conversations with my clients this week as well. Hi Shivani, nice to have you here this morning. Now, if you are an extroverted, out there, highly visible type of person, then awesome. I'll have some tips for you as well. But really, the thing that I'm finding a lot at the moment is obviously there's this term, authenticity that's popping up. It's the new black. Everyone's banging on about it all the time. And I think that sometimes it can sort of be a bit overdone. But it's so important that what we are doing in our leadership positions or, wherever we're leading in our lives, that we are being true to us and that we are being authentic to us and real to us. Hi, Sabina. Nice to see you. So, look, majority of us want to be playing a bigger game in some realm. A client that I was speaking to over the last couple of weeks we've been working together for probably 3 or 4 months now. And she is taking a massive career jump, you could say. And the current job's coming to an end. She's ready to step into that next one. Good morning, wonderful to see you. And so in our conversations that we had recently, it's a lot around the reasons that she can't do these things. Now, these things would be, speaking to people that have contacts in the industry she'd like to be working in, knowing people that are within her inner circle, career-wise, have specific contacts, have asked her, hey, what can I do to help you out? And her not wanting to ask. And also going into job interview processes and sending in resumes and everything, that's really playing a bigger game at the moment. Good morning, Adam. Nice to see you again. So look, you would have your own version of what playing big is for you at the moment. I'm certainly clear on what it is for me, and that's the way I'm running out my business this year and some of the specific clients I want to be working with and how I'm going to be doing that. Hi, Katie Ann. Nice to see you. But I just want you to think while we're going into this, what is an area that I want to be playing a bigger game at the moment? Is it in my career? Is it, that job that you've always wanted that's coming up or that may be coming up soon? But maybe, you're making up reasons for why you can't do it. You're not experienced enough. You don't have the qualifications. You blah, 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 whatever it is for you. Or maybe it's, having bigger conversations at work. I had a message from somebody yesterday that suggested a topic that I speak about. And that's about, when having performance reviews, how can she be more impactful and not walk away feeling like she didn't actually have the real conversation. So there's so many different ways that we can be playing a bigger game, and I want you to just reflect as we're speaking about this now on where is it that you would like to be playing a bigger game. Don't worry about the reasons you can't right now. Let's just put that to the side and just allow yourself to go to the area of, what is it? If you were to play a bigger game, what would that be? Would it be in your relationships? Would it be in your career? Would it be in the current role that you have or the next one? An industry move? Whatever it is, a speaking engagement. There's a million different things that it could be and all of those things come up with my clients regularly. So when we go to play a bigger game, you'll be very surprised to know that one of the things that comes up is fear, of course. And fear is a funky little dude because fear always sort of comes up in, I reckon, super, super sneaky and really, really smart ways. It's quite often so well camouflaged that it can really take some serious looking at and acknowledgements for you to even recognize it as a fear and not a real thing because when we're in the moment, fear is totally a real thing. So it can be very, very well camouflaged like that chameleon. It's very difficult to be able to identify it as a fear or not. So, did I have a coffee this morning? Is that, loving the energy, good, because I was like, do I need to turn the energy up a bit, Helen? Actually, I haven't had a coffee this morning, but thank you for the love. Okay, so when we're going to play a bigger game, fear is quite often going to, play a part in that. Now, look, this is not something that just happens to you. This is not something that just happens to me. It happens to all of us. In the book, Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In, she talks about fear. She talks about fear regularly, that she'll be sitting at a table. Sheryl Sandberg is, she's been at the top of massive organizations, Facebook and so on. And, a very, very influential woman. And she'll say she'll be sitting in a board meeting sometimes and just thinking, I don't know what I'm talking about here, or, I should say that, but maybe I shouldn't. So she's experiencing this quite as well as us. Arianna Huffington, that runs the Huffington Post, which is like a massive international online magazine, is an online magazine, an online publishing thing. She speaks all over the world. She's written a fabulous book called Thrive. You would think that a woman like that wouldn't have fear to deal with, and she deals with it all of the time as well. So look, it's not just us. It's not just me. It's not just you. It's everybody. But the difference is what we're actually doing with this fear. So I've asked you to reflect on what one of the things is for you that want to play a bigger game. Now we're going to talk about some ways that you can overcome that fear or work with the fear a little better. Because, look, I would love to tell you that when I work with these, there's like a million different approaches to dealing with fear that will help you play a bigger game. And I like to share quite a few because different things work for different people and different things work for us at different times in our careers and our lives as well. So I'm going to share probably like 4 or 5 with you today, just to make sure that you've got something that really works for you individually. Because it's so easy to look at someone else and think, well, either one, fear doesn't affect that person. It's different for them because, I don't know, they can speak in public, they've got a skinnier butt, they dress better or whatever, like whatever stuff you're making up. But it's, you'll be saying, it's easier for that person. Yeah, but it's not necessarily, it's just they've chosen to work with the fear and move through it. There was something else I was going to say as well, but it's gone now. I'm sure it'll come back. Okay, so fear is actually, and I know we've heard this before, but I think it's nice to remind us that fear is not just a bad thing. It's not just an enemy. There's different types of fear. And some of the fear is really, really important and is able to move us forward and is really, really helpful and can save our lives at times. And there's also, the times when fear will come up and it'll prevent us from doing something that maybe was going to be a pretty crappy outcome anyway. The other type of fear is the fear that holds us back, that keeps us small and stuck and sort of in that sort of stucky mode. And that's the one that we don't really want to, be listening to so much. And so I've got some tips today to be able to work through that fear. Okay. Look, let's just get kicked off with what they are. Okay. So one of the first ones is working with your inner mentor. Okay. Now, everybody has an inner mentor, so don't think that you don't. What an inner mentor is, or your inner champion, an inner support, whatever word that works for you. I like little champion, like my little champion. I just imagine I've got like a little cheer squad sitting up here, and that whenever I'm, I want some extra support or celebration, I just imagine, the applause erupts for me and it's like, yeah, go. It's like when I was young and I was a really fast runner and my mum used to come to all of my sports carnivals and like she was always there championing me along, clapping like the loudest mum, screaming and everything. I kind of have like a whole group of them up there hanging out, supporting me. So that's what an inner champion is, or an inner mentor. Now, when I'm in a fear position or a situation, and I speak to my clients about this as well, is actually tune into that side of it, yeah? Because we've been pretty in tune's probably not the right word, but we've been listening quite a bit to the fear side of things, the inner critic, the negativity. So let's balance that out a bit and really spend some time and tune into the inner mentor and be willing to ask your inner mentor, your intuition, your inner champion, hey, I'd like a bit of support here. What's your take on this situation, you know? And just sit quietly and allow things to come. Now, one of the things that I do, and there's a lot of you on the call today that know me, won't be surprised at all about this, but I will quite often go, okay, right, I've got a bit of a thing going up. I can feel the fears hanging out here for me. I'm going to go and make myself a cup of tea. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to chill, and I'm going to tune into my inner mentor. So I'll sit down, I'll make myself a tea, I'll relax, and I'll get myself all like attuned and take some nice deep breaths. And then I'll be like, all right, inner mentor, what have you got? You know, I've got this thing, I've got a lot of fear coming up. What have you got for me? You know, what's your take on this? What are you seeing? Ask a few questions like that. And then what I'll do is I'll be like, and you've got 35 seconds. However, your inner mentor likes to take a little time. Your intuition needs a little time. So I do regularly have arguments if they could speed things up a little bit. And I recognize it's kind of like trying to speed up a child. It doesn't work. So set yourself a little bit longer of a time frame than 33 seconds. Sit down, like 5 minutes even, like a bit more than you think. 5 minutes, have a nice cup of tea or something that's relaxing for you. Nice cup, a candle, whatever you need. And then just chill, just tune into yourself and go, okay, inner mentor, inner supporter, inner champion, intuition, whatever you want to call it, whatever works for you. What have you got for me today? I've got this fear coming up around this issue. What can you see? What can you help me with? You know, how can you help me get some clarity on this? And then just sit in a bit of space and allow for the answers to come and just see what happens. Sometimes you'll get really hard and fast answers, and sometimes it may take a little longer. And as I said, the more patient you are, the more it'll flow. Okay, so that's the first one. Check it in with your inner mentor. The second one is shifting the fear. Okay, now Marianne Williams, thank you for the love this morning. Marianne Williams is like a real spiritual guru, and I actually bought a few of her audios, and you can tell from my face, her voice does my head in. And anyone that loves her will feel like I'm, you know, committing a crime right now saying this, or a sin. But she's kind of really deeply spiritual, and she doesn't really resonate with me. It's a bit too full on for me. But one thing she did say is, whenever fear comes up, you know, shift the fear to love. And so one of the things that she says is, you know, set an intention or like an affirmation or something for yourself, and say, you know, can I please have some help to change the fear to love? And I've been working with this for a while now, and I really like it. Some days when I'm feeling calm and chilled, and that works really well for me. So that's one of those things. And just ask, you know, can I please have some help in turning this fear into love? And when we're coming from a place of love, now if you're thinking, well, hang on, I'm talking about the workplace, so love doesn't apply. Well, of course it does, because we have self-love, we take ourselves to work every day, we love ourselves, or we're working on that. And when we can turn our mindset from a fearful mindset, which is restricted and tight and small and stuck, to one of love, our bodies open up, our mind opens up, we can see things more like from different angles, we can be more creative with solutions. And this has been massive for me the last couple of years as well, particularly more recently when I've been revisiting it. So I'm just checking the time. Okay, so we're a little bit behind. So shifting the fear to love. So Marianne Williams talks about, just ask, you know, can you please help me, whatever the power is that you're speaking to, if I can have some help to change the fear to love, and just notice what happens. The next one, the third one, is gratitude. So always having gratitude for yourself, for the situation. So what I quite often do, if there's a lot of fear coming up, is I will sit there and go, okay, hang on. What are 10 things I'm grateful for about this situation? Now, you can do what are you grateful for in the greater scheme of things, and that will shift your mindset and the way your body's feeling as well. But I find for me really powerful to go, what are 10 things I'm grateful for about this specific situation right here? So I've got something going on in my career at the moment, a situation I'm not getting the results that I want, and this is something that I did yesterday. And I'm like, okay, what are 10 things I'm grateful for about this situation that's not working out the way I thought it would? And it's actually really interesting the way we're able to think about different things, we can suddenly see things that we couldn't see before because we were in a different place. We were in the fear before, and and the control, this is not getting what I want, as opposed to, oh, I can see things more openly. Okay, so 10 things you're grateful for, or look, 3 things, whatever. I always do 10. 10 things I'm grateful for about this fear situation right now. The next one that's going to help you play a bigger game is about probability. Now, I remember last year my son came home from school and it's like, what did you learn? And he said, well, we learned about probability today and possibility. And he explained to me that they talked about, there's things that are possible that will happen, and, things that are probable, and things that are just pretty impossible, that are very, very unlikely to happen or impossible. And it was interesting because one of the examples they gave was, it's really unlikely and it's actually impossible for an elephant to walk into our classroom right now. Yeah, because the elephant wouldn't fit. There's no elephants walking around the streets of Melbourne and so on. So it's just interesting because this comes back to fear as well. When we're looking at a fear situation, quite often we've made up in our head particular scenarios of things that people will do if we do this, or this is what's going to happen. And we're totally making it all up, right? So when you're thinking about your fear situation, have a look at it and then ask yourself, what's the possibility, what's the probability this is going to happen? Really likely. Is it likely or is it impossible to happen? And just ask yourself, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? And is that actually likely to happen or not? And I know the conversations I've had with my clients the last couple of weeks, this has been coming up a bit. And I'm like, they'll say, oh, but if I ask that person, to refer me to this person on LinkedIn, then what if they think this and this and this? And it's like, well, what's the likelihood of that happening? Like, really? Well, it could happen. It's like, yeah, but that person's been really helpful. They've asked you if you need any help. They've been super supportive of you. They've been a champion of yours. What's the likelihood that they would totally flip the other direction and push back on that? And it's like, well, actually, now you put it like that, it's actually really unlikely. So it's just interesting to look at things from a different perspective, and you'll be able to move through your fear to be able to play that bigger game. And finally is speaking to your fear. Now, this is something that I do speak about a fair bit because it's so powerful for me. This is the one that I probably go to the most. And is I will literally, when I recognize I'm in a fear situation, or I can feel what the fear is. So I don't sit at my desk, and I go, oh my goodness, I think fear is rearing its ugly head. What am I going to do about it? Usually, I do come to it way quicker these days, but generally it's the feelings, the physical feelings that I identify. The restrictive feelings, the tightness, always making up crap in my head when I'm in a fear situation, that's unlikely or impossible, and those types of things. So have an awareness of yourself as what do you do when you're in a fear situation, because most of us don't just sit here and fear doesn't, something doesn't pop up and it has the label of fear. We need to work out that it's a fear. So that's one of the things that I can do, is I feel the physical identifiers for that. And then when it does come up, I speak to it. So I will take a couple of deep breaths, close my eyes and ask myself, okay, fear, where are you? And for me, it's generally over my right shoulder. So I turn around and face the fear and say, hey, fear, thank you for being here. I acknowledge you, and I really appreciate that you've helped me out. You've assisted me to get where I am right now. And I'm pretty happy with where I am. However, what's going to happen right now is I'm going to want to do this thing. And I am going to do it. I know you're scared and you don't want me to do it right now, but I'm going to do it anyway. And if you want to come along, you can. But I'm driving. I'm in the driver's seat, and you can be in the back seat, and you're not even giving directions. So I have a conversation with the fear, and the thing I always recognize is that when I'm ignoring the fear and pushing it back and pretending it doesn't exist, then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Or if I get really pissed off at the fear and sort of resist it, what we resist persists, it grows. So when I acknowledge it and have a conversation with it, as wacky as it sounds, it actually changes the energy around the fear completely. And then taking some deep breaths, I'm able to move forward more easily and effortlessly. Okay, so there's 5 things that I shared with you today that will help you play a bigger game, and do so in a way that's right for you, that's real for you, that's authentic for you. It still might be a little scary at times, however, really take some nice deep breaths, and as you move through it, that will enable you to be able to take that next step that you came up with at the beginning of the video. Look, one of the things that I'm doing over the next month is I'm also running a core confidence seminar or workshop in the city of Melbourne. And I would love you to come along. I'll put the link in here above, but one of the things that we do in the workshops, we always get such great feedback about the workshops. We do a bit of deep work, we have real conversations and we get to the guts of what's really going on for people and how can we move forward. So obviously it's a workshop, there's, a small group of women there, professional women, so all like-minded women that it's so wonderful to get everybody together. So if today's message resonated with you, playing a bigger game and doing it in a way that's real for you and you can stay true for you, then please check out the link, have a register, come along to our workshop in March. I would love to see you there. There's a few people with messages, so no, I won't be coming to Brisbane, definitely not, Steph. I'm definitely not going up to Brisbane. I'm staying in Melbourne most of the time. I've got a training team nationally, but I'm pretty much based in Melbourne these days with my family because that's the way I love things to work for me. So if you have any questions or anything, thank you for all your love today. Thank you for your thank yous. I look forward to seeing you soon. And look, if you have any feedback or questions, please ask. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you on my Facebook Lives tomorrow and the next day, and also at my workshop in March, Rise and Thrive Core Confidence Workshop. See you soon.